Good morning, everyone. So let's start with the exercise session today. So just to recap, yesterday we have covered the overview of SSIS, the MSBI, and a few details about the SSIS. And also we have seen what are the topics we are going to cover in SSIS. So today we are going to start with introduction to SQL Server Integration Services. That's what we'll start. Let's move on to the next slide. Let me put that into the presentation mode so that you can visualize it. All right. Can you see my screen? Please confirm, one of you.
Yes.
Yeah. So as you see here, in SIS, so we have you see this particular different quadrants, which I have just put 4 quadrants here, just to uh, group it into different subject area wise. So the usage of SSIS, then the architecture of SSIS, the package development, and then the projects. What is the project in BITS? So BITS stands for Business Intelligence Development Studio. So that's the visualization interface which you see to develop your SSIS package. So that environment is called BITS. Okay, now to start with usage. So you might be wondering, right, why we are using SSIS, right? So is it only just to just to use it as a ETL tool, or it's used for any other purpose, or is it just a BI tool like Informatica, DataStage, or anything different in this which is available? So other than these BI solutions or the ETL solutions, even currently, most of the developers, .NET developers, they are also using SSIS in their projects. And why? Because they are finding this is much easier than writing a 10 page of .NET code to transfer data from one source system to another source system, or one table to other table. So what they are using is, so they are just using SSIS to develop a small package which will move data from one source to a destination. So that's the beauty of this tool. So you were asking about, right, how can we leverage this SSIS? And if I'm a non-BI candidate, how can I be building my career in BI? So if you see, people working on different other non-BI tool set also using SSIS for the ease of job, or to make things smooth. So now you see here, so populating data warehouses or cleansing data, standardizing the data, merging data from multiple sources, automatic administrative tasks. So these are few basic examples which you see where SSIS is being used. So it makes it very simple because you visualize things and you just configure some properties and your job is ready. You move your data smoothly with all the conditions in it. So anything you would like to know about the usage of SSIS, or anything? Any questions?
So one question here. The last point, it says automating administrative tasks. So what is that? And are we going to cover that in this class?
Okay, so I'll give a theoretical examples how it is used. So definitely we will not have a hands-on on that.
Okay.
So when you say administrative tasks, so what comes to your mind? So in a normal IT world, what are the different administrative tasks which you can think of?
So it's like, say, troubleshooting logs, analysis, managing logs, or you think of, scheduling some jobs, or you think of managing services inside, or, managing, optimizing the performance, or backup, restore, something like that.
Absolutely, bang on. So you are right on the right track. You are on the right track. So these are the tasks which you know. So earlier, what used to happen? So we have people who are really monitoring manually some of these activities, like taking a backup and seeing if completed, and post that trigger some jobs. So all these things, you don't have to now do it manually, because you don't want a resource who will be waiting throughout the night and monitoring all these things. So in SSIS, or basically in MSBI, you have some task which is called maintenance task. Okay, if you go to that maintenance task, you find all these transformations like scheduling a job, like taking a backup, like deleting a backup, or cleaning up log files. All these various categories are available. So we can develop some packages and schedule it. It will do that activity on time, and if there is a failure or success, it will send notifications to you. So let's say you don't have to be in front of the system to monitor how it is going. So you can just create all kind of flags and criteria. You can set it. If it fails, it will send an alert. If it's slow, also it will send an alert. If it is utilizing maximum memory in the server, it will send an alert. All these parameters you can configure and schedule it. So that's what you can use it. So is this clear to you?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
All right. Then merging data from multiple sources. This is a very, very basic thing which you will come across any data version project, right? So your source system is not only one. So you can have some data coming from SAP, something coming from Siebel, something coming from, let's say, Salesforce, and you might have flat files, Excel, so different sources. So you just bring it and then you merge it and load it into your warehouse. That's the basic of a ETL thing which happens. Cleaning and standardizing the data. So data cleaning is a very basic exercise and very important, very critical exercise which has to be done before you really build up your warehouse. And SSIS tool is the best thing to use for cleaning up your data. For example, you have duplicate data, right? And you have some junk characters in the data. So all these things, or you have null values which is making meaningless. You don't have to load those things. So all these things should be filtered out before you really build your warehouse. And SSIS has different transformations which can be used to remove all this kind of unwanted data. Okay, any questions on this? You understand data cleansing? Okay, no questions. Then yeah, so the end objective is to populating data warehouse. So that's also something which we know as part of any BI project. We get to do this. Now moving to the next one, we have the architecture. We will see in detail what are the different components, how does the SSIS architecture looks like. So it has a runtime engine, it has different packages, it has tasks, data sources, connection managers, event handlers. We'll see in detail in the next slide. So we have a different slide for the architecture. Next, coming to the package development. So when we are developing the package, so what are the different options or different menus are available which you need to use while developing a package. Okay, so how do you select a tool? How do you define the tasks? How do you execute a package? How to deploy a package? So all these are available in the bits. So once I will open that tool, then I will make you familiar with all these different menus which is available and how do we achieve these things. Next is the projects in BITS. So as I said, BITS is your business development studio. So that's the place where you are going to develop your SSIS packages, even your SSRS reports, as well as your SSIS cube. So that's the interactive environment which is available to the IDE, basically the IDE which is available to which provides you the interface to develop your packages, reports, or cube. So here you have to define the different project types. You would have already understood that what are the different project types we have. So the three components we have: SSIS, SSRS, or SSAS. So when you are creating a new project, you have to specify which kind of project you are doing it. So when we are reading SSIS, then we'll create a SSIS project. So what are the different project item types, like the solutions, the packages, all these things we'll be seeing. I'll take you through. Then the import and export wizard. What is this? This wizard helps you to, as the name suggests. So can someone guess what is this import and export can be? Any guess?
Is it importing and exporting your package to some other platform or something?
You are partially right. So when you say import and export, it's not really the package, rather the data. So if you are not creating, if you're not developing something, or you want to really follow a wizard to create a package, so you can use the import tool. Okay, and then you can just specify which source system from where you want to import data. You can just point to that, define the parameters, and say just follow the wizard, next, and your package is ready. The basic package is ready. So similarly, if you want to export a data from a table, you can just export. You can create a. You can follow the wizard and mention what is the table from where you want to export data. Specify it and follow the wizard, and then you can export data into a file, table, or anywhere into Excel or any other source systems. Yeah, so that's the import export feature available. So there is a history to this. So this SSIS is something which Microsoft found in 2005. Okay, prior to that, it was a very basic ETL tool which is available, and it was called as DTS. Okay, data transformation services. So that was coming within the SQL Server database itself, and very basic features were available. So in fact, to develop one simple flow to take data from one file to another file, or to one table to another table, you might have to perform 10 steps. Okay, so after that, they have really incorporated so many advanced features into it, and then they called it as a SSIS, and the full-fledged ETL tool, which is no less than any other reputed ETL tools like Informatica and Redstage in the market.
Hey guys, sorry. So I will drop off. Okay, I have some priority work. So you just continue, and I will get back to you once I will back.
Sure, Kumar. Thanks for your time. Bye. Fine. So from there only, this import and export was one feature which is available in those DTS days, and now they're still carrying it over in SSIS, as is a simple one menu is available to get this done, import export. Now coming to the data source view. So this is a very important feature which you have to use while debugging your SSIS packages. So let's say you are reading 10 records, and while you are loading, it becomes 5. Okay, or you are reading, let's say, you are reading a value which is called apple, and when you are writing it, that is written as something different. So let's say the apple is the P is missing. Okay, such cases you can really utilize this data source view. Okay, so which will show you the intermediate results. So for example, when it's reading and before it is writing, so what is it reading, it will be showing there. Okay, so might be you can go always and see in your table what is the data available in the table and in the source table, and what is available in the destination table. So that way you see there's a difference. But now where it is creating an issue and how the difference is occurring, to know that, you have to go and debug it, right, step by step. So let's say it's reading from the source, then it's going through 10 different steps. So you can add different data source views to see in each step what is the value it is passing through. Is it going as apple, or in the first step itself that apple P is missing? So that's the way you use this data source view.
Okay.
All right, so now we'll get into details of architecture. Then I will show you also the package development menus in the tool and the projection bits. And let's go to the next slide. So this is the SSIS architecture on your screen. So the main components which we see here in the top layer is the blue color, the custom applications, command line utilities, SSIS designer, SSIS wizards, integration services. Okay, so these are the main components which we see here. Okay, so now custom applications, when we say you can write some scripting, .NET scriptings or ASP scripting. Okay, so that can be used here. That's one of the component which falls in SSIS. Command line utilities. So you want to achieve some DOS commands you want to execute it, and or DOS scripts you want to, or batch scripts you want to call and achieve some work out of it, right? So those utilities also provided by SSIS, or supported by, rather I would say supported by SSIS. So you have some APIs which is available in SSIS that calls the command line parameters or the command prompts to achieve simple operations like copying a file, moving a file, deleting a file, or even you can call a batch script to achieve setup operations. Then you have the SSIS designer, which is the real place, your favorite place where you are going to develop your mappings. Okay, the flow basically, the main work area. Then you have SSIS wizards. So this is what I was mentioning, the wizard, one of the example in the import export we saw, right? So similarly, there are some other wizards that are available. We'll see in detail. So that's also provided in SSIS. Then you have the integration services service. This is the service basically. Without this, nothing works. Even you cannot create or develop a simple package even. So you have to make sure the service is up, okay, before you start developing something or even executing your packages. Okay, so that service is also one more component which is available in the SSIS architecture. Then coming to the left side here, you see the task and custom tasks. So you might be wondering, what is this custom application and what is this custom task? Okay, so the custom application is something in SSIS. There are two things mainly. One is a control flow task, one is a data flow task. Okay, so the custom application, when you say, that's at the control flow level. Okay, we'll see in detail what is a control flow and what is a data flow. Okay, so control flow is the one which really controls your flow of your package. For example, you will be designing what are the different operations you will be doing it with respect to controlling the data or controlling the flow. Data flow is purely dealing with your data. So like you are reading something and now you are playing with data to cleanse it, to apply some logic, to filter something, or to aggregate it. So purely manipulating the data. So that's a data flow task work. And within the data flow task, whatever custom scripting or custom task we can create, so that's called as a custom task. Okay, but here the custom application is at a control flow task level. So that's the difference we see.
So I have one question. So when we write these custom tasks, these are, you said these are scripts, right? So how do we, what language or what do we use to write scripting language?
So you can use that .NET or ASP or the C#. These are two supported languages. So it's all Microsoft to support this scripting language. Yeah.
Okay. And another thing, like say custom applications means these custom applications, can they be Java based applications or can there be any other applications?
Not really. So no. So this is again some application which you have to write using the .NET script only. There is nothing which you can write.
So can you come up with what does these custom applications do here? Like,
okay, so let's give an example. So see, when you go out and see in SSIS, so you'll find so many tasks are available, right? Which is already predefined or pre-provided task, right? Which is available. Now you will come to a scenario where you may not achieve your business logic or whatever output you want using those pre-provided tasks, right? such cases, you have to write your own custom scripts or custom applications to get it done. Now, not to reduce the functionality of the tool, they have given this particular option. But you go and write your own script or own logic to get something done. So that's the reason for having this particular custom applications.
Okay, no, that's good. Fine. So that's where you are saying it can be only .NET based applications.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Fine. Then the tasks and custom tasks we saw. The log providers. So this is also one important component in the architecture, because anything which you any task which you are developing and you are going to debug it, you are getting some errors. So this log providers is the one which will help you, right? So you can go to the log providers. So obviously it's not a different storage. So it is also integrated in the bits itself. You have to navigate to the debugging tab, or you have to go to the error tab. Then you go and see what are the different issues available. So this log provider is the repository where you will have all the logs stored there.
So once we install the system, I mean the environment, so would you be able to help us looking at the logs where they are, or the components of the architecture? Like what I see here, once I install, can I see all those things inside, like say integration service, that service, or the logs?
All these individual components we can see it. So some of them you can directly. Some of them you can directly see it in the file system itself, and some of them you can directly see it in the bits, the IDE which you use for developing your packages. So,
okay, good, thanks.
Welcome. Next one, you have the data sources. So this is also the integral part of your architecture. So without the data sources, you cannot connect to your data source. These are the data source transformations which will be available, which will be used to connect to the source systems. And you have the enumerators, the connection managers, and the event handlers. Fine. So what is the enumerator? So enumerator is like if you see this here in the grayed out containers. So there will be you want to achieve some sequencing logic, or you want to achieve some kind of a looping logic, then you have to use some containers like for loop or for each loop, so, or sequence container. So these are all called as a enumerator. Okay, so that's something which is available in SJS. So that again falls under the control flow task only. So all these enumerators. So if you see this this particular thing which is showing here, it's really showing the external part. So first is the flow of your package. So how you want to control using a control flow task, which you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then last one is your data flow task, which is used here. And data flow task is really dealing with your data. Control flow task is dealing with your control flow. Like before you start extracting your data, let's say you want to write a generic logic. I want to do it in a loop. There are 10 files. I want to write a single program but execute it 10 times in a loop, so that it will take it from 10 different sources. So this kind of logic you need to really build it in the control flow task. Data flow task is just to go once it reaches the source, it has to just get the data and now play with the data. What do you want to do? Transform it, delete it, clean it, filter it, and then put into destination. So that's the only thing which data flow task does. Okay, so then
one question here. Say, for example, if I'm sure you'll cover it as part of installation, but so even if I don't have a database installed in my system, I can have just the Visual Studio or SQL Server Management Studio and design the SSIS project, right? Or do I need to have a database?
Not necessarily. You don't need a database for SSIS. Okay, so you can just have the Visual Studio, or it's called now data transformation services. Okay, so that you can get it, and which will provide you the SSIS, SSRS, and SSIS. So, but that will be incomplete. The reason is you will be not only dealing with the flat files, right? You also need some tables as a source. So if you need to do some hands-on on databases, then it's nice to have SQL Server also installed, so that while doing your exercise examples, you can really connect to the relational database and get data from that. Okay.
But suppose I want to, just for the sake of trying it out, suppose I don't have, I have only, my requirement is only I have Excel files, I have Flash files, and I have some other files. So, but out of that also I can use SSIS to, kind of, run the project and at least for learning purpose, right?
Yes,
Then later on I can.
Of course, you can always do that. But the only question I will have is now, fine, source-wise you are happy, but now the destination. Do you really want to build this data warehouse or not? Then if you want to build data warehouse, it is obviously a database. So without that, it's a
right. So in general, in reality, you will have the database somewhere else in your organization, so you can connect. But here, for learning purpose, you must have a source and destination.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Good. Thanks.
Right, because when you want to learn your SSAS and SSRS, right? So that time you need a source, right? And you will not rely on files, right, or Excel files to get that done. So it's nice to have a structure or really a dimensional model in place. On top of that, you build your cube and SSRS reports. Then only you can learn it.
Okay, no, that's good.
Yeah. So next one is the connection manager. So connection manager is the one which really holds the information about the connections. So if it's a file connection, then it will be expecting what is the path for the file, what is the name of the file, and what is the delimiter you are using in the file. So this kind of information you need to define in the connection manager. If it's a relational database, it will be expecting the server name, the user ID, the password, all this information, the table name or the view name. Okay, so from where it has to be inserted. So this is the connection manager. So connection manager is not only for the source; it's for destination as well. So the basic is it stores information about the source or destination table or file. So that's the connection manager. So this is also very integral part of your architecture here. Then the event handlers, and this is also very powerful thing, which you really need to define your exceptions in case of any issues or any errors or any warning messages. What is the action you want to take? This kind of exception handling. So if you have your task, before your task starts, right, you want to do certain checks. So you have some pre-session event handlers. Okay, so you can use that. So anything which your package is completed, you want to trigger something, an email alert or something, then you can say on post execution of the package, that's event handler. You want to trigger something on error, then there is on error event handler. So many event handlers are available like this, or on warning message also. So that helps us to really control the flow and sending the alerts or taking some action, proactive actions. So that's a very important part which we normally use event handlers in packages. Then you have a data flow task. So this is what is really the main data transformation happens here. So you have a source, you read the data, or you have multiple sources, you read the data, then you do some transformations, then you load the data into destination. So that's the minimum thing which you'll find. So in a data flow task, the minimum thing you will find is a source and a destination. And in between you have multiple complex transformations, then you have that number of steps coming through. If there's nothing, it's a simple thing, you read source, dump into destination. That's a simple data flow task. Okay, and here it shows that the components in the data flow task. So what are the components? So you have sources, transformations, and destinations. So these are minimum components which is available in data flow task. Hope you understood the architecture. If you have any questions, I can take it up.
No, I think we are good with the architectures. So today, will you also explain about how to install because we need to install and kind of start working. So that are we going to cover as well?
So I hope you would have already got the document, the steps, what are the packages you need to download and install it, and please follow those steps. If that is not helping or you are stuck somewhere, then obviously I will see. If it is the case like you have never tried it, then that is the time-consuming things, right? So maybe we cannot do that right away in the session. So I would request you to follow the instructions in that document and try it once yourself, because it's very simple process to get the things done. And then I will help you to in case of any issues.